Well, what's cracking, everyone? And as you can tell, it's super heavy and we're gonna unbox it. What's in it? Woohoo! Here it is. Now, I ordered a bunch of these and about 50 of them have already sold. So, if you're keen for one, you better get in quick. And the link's in the description below. But I thought I'd put this video together to show you what goes into it, so you can share a bit of the story about how I came to take and choose the images that are featured in the 2021 Ralph Mayhew calendar. Each year for the last 3 years, I've created a calendar, and that calendar's sold, and the proceeds have gone partially to do some local work in the community and the rest to other photographic endeavors. And so this year, the bit that's left over that I get to play with, I am gonna spend, have I told you about this latest project? It's very exciting. Not sure I have. All right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and buy. So what do you think? Pretty exciting, yeah? First step, when it came to choosing what sort of images were gonna be on my calendar, I went to my phone, my Insta. I went to my grid, and then I scrolled through my grid, as you can see, and I went right to the start of this year. Now, one of the challenges with this calendar is I have to put photos on it that featured near or on the Gold Coast. It's no good putting the photos of Melbourne that I took when I was there, but Melbourne was at the start of the year. So I go to the start of the year and then I start scrolling through and I go, ooh, that's a good one. Let's have a look at that. Yep, we'll put that on the list. And then I scroll a bit further and I go, ooh, that's a good one. Yep, great, put that on the list. And then I scroll and you get the point, right? Select, put it on the list. I'm saving it, I'm putting it aside so I can come back, find it in my database, and then use it. All right, enough of that. Let's get into the stories. So I have about 15 images that I downsized from about 30, and of those 15, I need to use 12 monthly ones and then a cover. So I deliberate, I go back and forward, and I pick which ones I think are right, and then I ask the panel. And the panel have the say over it completely, and the panel is Lyndall and my 2 kids. And what usually happens is the 12 I select are not the final 12, and some of those 15 get shuffled in, and then Lyndall says, but what about this? And there's too much of that. So what's she talking about? Well, I want a mix of moods. I want a mix of colors. I want a mix of locations. I also want a mix of styles. So some cityscapes and some beach and some Milky Way and a bit of this and a bit of that. And after a bit of argy-bargy, we go back and forth, and Lyndall says, there's 2 Currumbin ones there. And I say, I know, but I love them both. We have our final 12 images. So let me walk you through these 12 images, and it might intrigue you to want to spend the entire next 365 days of the year looking at these images when you sit on the toilet. All right, here we go. Well, this is the first time I get to look at these images, but this is the first one of Currumbin Rock with the sun rising behind it. We actually went down on a Saturday morning and we took a heap of photos, and the disaster crew I was with said, oh, you should put your 600 lens on. That's a super zoom, and I didn't. So 2 days later, I went down and banged out this one at about 4:30 in the morning. I set up, the sun rose, the surfer posed, and boom, we're in the goods. That's January. This was a morning when all my gear got absolutely saturated down the spit. That's right. I went down the spit and all my gear got washed out to sea. There's a video about that, which I'll put on the description so you can check that out. But just before that happened, literally moments before that happened, I caught this one as the sun rose. It's a long exposure to smooth out the sea, which catches the reflection of the sun. I was pretty happy with it because the leading line of the pier banged right in on where the sun is. Sometime at the start of this year, we decided to go on a day trip down to Springbrook National Park. And when we were there's these beautiful falls called the Alabama Falls, and we trekked all the way down. It's about a 400-kilometer hike. That's what it felt like. It was maybe 7k or something. Went down the bottom and we sort of hung out, and I snapped this, and I really loved it. A long exposure gives you the really silky smooth waterfall lines, and I put a CPL filter on it which takes away the glare, so you really get the vibrant colors and no distracting glare from it. That's March. Moving into April, this is one of my favorites. This was during Swell Festival and everyone was looking toward the sculptures, and I looked up to the sea and there was this beautiful thing happening over surfers, and so I made sure that I could catch capture the surf lifesaving tower in the foreground and the city in the background, but that beautiful sky that just looked intoxicating, and trying to level out the colors to really bring out the vibrancy of that day. And then we go to May. This was a morning when we turned up to take photos of bubbles on the beach. We met with a local entertainer. There's a video about that on my channel where we did some photographs of bubbles with my kids. And just before it all happened, just on daybreak, these kayakers decided to wander straight in the middle and do me the favor of posing beautifully. And there was just this haze around the city, so you can only see the city popping up the top. So that was North Burleigh Beach. Pretty stoked with that one. Then we jumped in the car at 11 o'clock at night and we drove out to Warralong Dam, which is about an hour and 15 outside of the Gold Coast where we live, and we hung out from about 11 o'clock at night all the way through till I think 9 o'clock in the morning, when we were just destroyed. But this was the image of the night for me. It was so black out there, which made the Milky Way just pop so much, and we just waited for it to feel like it was some of the leaves caressing those tree stumps that you see there, and it picked up the reflections in the water. Super stoked with this image. Then this is a point of contention with Lyndall. This is Currumbin Rock. Really early in the morning, that's Jupiter, as the Milky Way sets and the sun comes up in the background. You've got these beautiful green, this is a long exposure to capture the silky smooth water, and then you've got Coolangatta in the background to the right, and all those stars in the image, which I was just really thrilled with. I really like this image. It's probably not what they call a portfolio image, but oh gosh, I love it. Then there's this one. This is a drone shot looking straight into surfers as the sun comes up, and the sky was brilliant. The blue in the water and reflected in the buildings. It was just a wonderful morning. This one's taken really at the start of this whole year. This is Coolangatta, and there was just some mist forming, and the sun went straight through the mist. I had my zoom lens on. We were shooting from Currawa Hill. I was just super stoked. There's all sorts of action in the water and plenty to look at with this image. Then we go to October, and this is a lake near where I live that one afternoon just promised that the sunset was going to be a banger, and it was. And so I went out and I took the image and was really stoked with it. We've actually got this image on our wall. This was on the same hike to Springbrook National Park, where we ended the day at Moran Falls, and you get this incredible look out from the top of the falls. That's the drop off of a couple of 100 meters, but the sun allowed poking through those clouds just gave this incredible texture over the hills and that mountain range through there, with the waterfall in the foreground on a slightly long exposed shutter, so as to make that a little bit smooth and silky. Then December, nearly the final image. This is when we went out to Mugra Dam. This shot took 4 hours, I think, to shoot. It's a star trail, and I basically lined it up using photo pills with the center of the solar system, and boom, 4 hours later, look at what we've got cooking. And then there's the opening image, which is one of my favorite from this year, but this was a long exposure right on dusk, as the sun was nearly all but gone, but had these brilliant colors in the sky and left the sea just silky smooth, taken from Burleigh shooting toward Surfers Paradise. So there you go. I wanted to give you a quick run through. Calendars are $21 each. You can order them on my website, links below. If you want it posted anywhere in Australia, it's $24 a calendar. If you want to buy more than 5, let me know and I can work out a better price for you. Part of the proceeds that I use for me will go to that really exciting project I was telling you about at the start. If you've got any questions about the calendar whatsoever, I would love to answer them. Put them below in the comments section and subscribe. Tell your friends about this, share the video, share the calendar, share on social media, share crazy. And I hope you've enjoyed this quick run through, a bit of the background of some of the stories that made these images come to life. And I hope we'll bring more beauty into your life throughout 2021, because 2020 has been a shocker, hasn't it? So here's the 2021. Somehow I think when it clicks over from midnight to midnight 01 and 21, it's not going to be any different, is it? But let's hope that next year's trajectory is a better trajectory than the one we've been on.